Well, then we have to ask the administration is that can we some way somehow identify the fund or find some way somehow to adapt the new request here, the homestead exemption rate?
Um, Councilmember, absolutely, in a $4 billion budget, we can fund cuts of $27 million. Now, I would remind everybody that half that budget is not accessible to us because it is enterprise funds. And so it is disingenuous to say it's a $4 billion budget because we can really only find these savings in the tax-supported general fund budget, which is more on the order of $2 billion. And the majority of that is salary and overhead. 3/4 of it is salary and overhead. And so it is difficult to do. Now, there are two items, if in fact you are interested in providing tax relief, Bradford 4.05 and 4.06 both do the same thing. This is his big cut, the other one is the smaller cut. And so there are other options for council members who wish to do this.
Thank you.
But it would be extremely difficult and would involve employees. Councilmember Pennington.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make the point that you'd already made that we're not, the tax-supported fund is a $2 billion fund, and as Councilmember Bradford well knows, about 2/3 of that is devoted to police and to fire, and the rest of it to salaries for libraries and parks and so forth. It does not mean that, as Councilmember Green mentioned earlier, and I agree with it, we shouldn't have policy discussions about the reallocation of funds. But I don't think we ought to have them on kind of an ad hoc basis at the table like this. We ought to collect information about how many homes there are, what the impact on the ad valorem tax has been. Some values may have gone up, some values may not have gone up during the period of time. So I think we ought to have a close look at it, and I think it's something that is worthy of consideration. But particularly, as I mentioned earlier, since we have a balanced budget this year, and we have a deficit of $81 million next year that may require us to discharge over 1,500 people. I just don't think we ought to make a decision of this magnitude at the table like this without more data. I'm sure you wouldn't, if you were in charge of this as the administrator, I think that you probably want more data as well, and I think we need it. Thank you.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. And so we have a $2 billion budget, putting things in perspective, 2/3 of which goes to personnel. We're looking out for our city employees. I think an equal priority is looking out for our senior citizens that live in the city of Houston, who are burdened, overburdened. And many discussions of people that have been living in this city for decades that are at the point where they feel like they have to move away. Not by choice, but because of finances. And when we talk about priorities, is releasing a burden of $27 million that's placed upon our seniors as important as a library? Maybe one's more important, but equally important, I think. So we have to give them due consideration. And $27 million is not a significant amount when we look at what we're doing in terms of looking out for those who have made this city great. So I support this amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one question. I'm just reflecting back on the previous, I think the MOFAR, the budget between Kelly Dow and Controller Green with the MOFAR. I think one of the questions was asked about how much money, how much revenue are we expected, and one of the answers came back, I think Controller Green said about 30-something million. I think Kelly Dow around about 40. Do we have like a breakdown of those expenditures? Because I think when we're looking at revenues or programs or projects on how we can fund various items, i.e. what Councilmember Bradford is talking about, we're not talking about half, because I know all of us, especially myself, we support our seniors and we support, for their need for exemption. But when we look at revenue, projected revenue in out years, how do we act on coming up with those programs if we're saying that the money is already allocated or we're saying that there's a deficit in the future? How do we know exactly how that money is actually spent when they're telling us that there's a projection of this amount of revenue. Because it was told that we had either $30-something million of revenue. I think Kelly said about 40. So this is where I'm thinking that we're requesting this money from. So how do we know if that the revenue is there or if it's not there when they're telling us that it's a possibility that the money is there?
We don't know. What we do, as we always do, is we are projecting a year into the future what we think our property tax revenues are, what we think our sales tax revenues are going to be. It's an educated guess, which is why we provide our best estimate based on independent research. We use Barton Smith, or we used to use Barton Smith, we use U of H on sales tax, we do our own estimates on property tax, we provide a default rate and so forth, and we try to get close. The controller does the same thing, and he uses a slightly more conservative metric, and he comes below that. This budget is already based on that projected additional revenue. So it's not that we're expecting 40 million more to come in, it is that we expect 40 million more based on the best estimates we have, and we have pledged expenses against that.
So that means that revenue is already captured in the budget
Correct.
that we have right
And
now.
because we passed the first item number 1, it means that if we do get unexpected revenue, we can't automatically spend it. Now, I guess
That
I
we
could come
can't,
back.
that we cannot automatically spend it.
It is anticipated to flow into next year. Now, obviously, if there were an emergency, I could bring the line back.
But the key is that we cannot
Cannot touch
automatically
it.
spend it.
You have now said that.
No, you cannot do it.
Correct.
So I just wanna get that on the table. Thank you, ma'am.
And there's not, this passage of this would mean that there would have to be an offsetting $27 million cut before the budget would be balanced.
I just wanted to go on, right, so we would still have to go back and find somewhere in the budget to cut it, to be able to fund, cause we all support the exemption, I know that I do when it comes to our seniors, I hope somewhere that we can find it, but I know that we're looking at items in our amendments or in our budget that hopefully we're anticipating programs, but all this would offset, you know, if it's summer job program, if it's surveillance cameras, if it's whatever that we're asking for. So we have to be able to find and adjust that, because we did pass item 1, then we won't. Okay.
So, Councilmember, line item 4 and line item 5 both do the same thing.
Right.
One's a higher amount, one's a lesser amount. And, so you're gonna have another bite at the apple as well. Our estimate is that line item 4 provides a savings, and this is an estimate because we really have to drill down, but of about $22.90 a month. Line item 5, we estimate provides a savings of $3.64 a month. But line item 4 has a projected budgetary impact on everything. We'd have to find cuts of nearly 27 million on one and nearly 4 million on the other.
Got it. Thank you.
Councilmember Burks.
Thank you, Mayor. I go back to, at $2 billion